your gums and sound the attack.
All right, hello, and welcome to another episode of the We Got the Chocolates podcast. And there's the song of the week. It'll be episode 40. Rack 'em up, 40. Mitch and Sam are here as well, featuring song in the background, which obviously you guys would already know, but it's called the DeLong Incident. Not Geelong, but DeLong, with a capital L in between the D and the E, from Craig MacArthur.
Bit slower.
Yeah, right.
Too slow for my liking. It did say that it was rock and funky, but not hearing much of that.
Not hearing much rock. Very funky.
Yeah, fair. Actually, very funky. Funky Miller.
About as funky as the t-shirt you're wearing, Lethal. That is not a We Got the Chocolates.
Certainly not. We Got the Chocolates t-shirt. No, new t-shirt. You know what else is new at the moment, Skinner? It is actually the flavour of Alchemy Cordial that is sitting behind you. Beetroot, or Beyond Beetroot as it's known. And it is delicious and very purple. So would recommend trying.
All right, thanks for that. I'll give it a dabble.
Yeah, but shirt stinker.
desserts,
I don't know what's happened there.
You're lucky when I
was
record and filming the intro.
Yeah, well, not that lucky because you brought it up, so everyone
but
knows
I
anyway.
had to let people know that you're letting us down.
Hey, kids have got to wear their school uniform at home when they're learning from home at the moment. You got to
I've heard that actually. That is a GR.
You got to wear your We Got a Chocolate shirt when we're recording.
Who is wearing their school uniform in their house?
I don't know. My mate actually is working from home at the moment, and his company makes him like get dressed up in formal clothing every morning to have a Zoom meeting.
Surely he's wearing no pants though.
Sure,
if it's just his top
you
half.
Would think, no. Apparently they make him stand up in the meeting. Everyone stands up so you can see what they're wearing. It's weird.
Well, I was hearing a school reason is like if you're doing a school Zoom session, you don't want chicks from the school wearing their bikinis in the Zoom meeting or whatever. You know, they've got to be wearing
Can
school
you please
uniform.
not refer to school children as chicks in bikinis?
Sorry, that was probably the wrong choice of words, but the females at school probably shouldn't be wearing bikinis. They should be wearing something more formal.
No,
like
that's
the
good
school
wording.
uniform.
Good wording, Hans. Well worked out.
Or I've heard like dramas about bloody like you'd have parents walking around in their undies in the background and stuff like that. That's not ideal, is it?
Yeah, or in the nude in some cases.
Yeah, even worse.
Can happen. Not here, obviously.
No. Anyways, we want to get back on topic.
Yeah,
what
sorry.
are we talking about?
Well, we have an interview this week, and it's a belter. It is a rugby league player, which Sam has always been a huge fan of. His name is Christian Welch. He plays for the Melbourne Storm. He's played 77 games, I would believe, but we're about to read that out anyway. Yeah. He's also played one game for the Queensland Maroons last year. And amazing. Really good combination, I think, between some really serious answers early on, giving us some great detail about the sort of situation that he finds himself in at the moment, and then just open slather for banter at the end of the interview. So yeah, quality.
Yeah, well,
let's get to it.
Get stuck in there. Yeah, I'm happy. I thought you were pressing a button. Let's go.
I was actually looking for a button, so I was sort of hoping that you guys were going to speak for a bit longer.
Right, okay.
But on account of both of you are useless, I'll just find it myself. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, maybe if you were less useless on the buttons, then it wouldn't have been a problem.
Maybe if there were less than 16 buttons for me to cycle through. All right, thank you, everyone. Here is Christian Welch. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Sam again. We have managed to utilise some of your contacts, not direct contacts, but just through friends of friends, etc., etc. And you've managed to get one that you're very excited about. We all know on this podcast your passion for rugby league and how probably your cricket career stopped you from your rugby league career. So very, very fortunate today to get to speak to someone that you probably idolise a great deal. 77 career appearances for the Storm since debuting in 2015 versus the Eels. He's actually played one game for the Queensland Maroons against the New South Wales Blues in 2019, which was Game 3, after competing in the Under-20 State of Origin for Queensland back in 2014. He won a World Club Challenge against Leeds in 2018, and probably needs to be mentioned that he's actually scored a massive 3 tries in those 77 career games as well. Today, we have the pleasure of speaking to Christian Welch. Christian, are you there? Hopefully we have you there.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, boys, and I appreciate the reference to the strike rate. It's right up there.
Very impressive. No, we try and read a resume out for our guests at the start, just to get that awkwardness out of the way. And obviously, the 3 tries was something we highlighted, but I wanted to make you wait till the end just to build the suspense there.
Mate, look. Oh, sorry, you go.
Has just cut him off. Good on him, man. Just speak instead of the guest. Everyone wants to hear from you, I guess.
No, I'll say what you're going to say. I guess. Is there any? I was going to ask off the cuff was if there's any punishment for not scoring a try there at Melbourne if you don't score a try during the season.
Oh, yeah, the nude runs, surely.
Yeah, there used to be a bit of a nudie at the end of the year and some drinks on Mad Monday, but we've been lucky actually. A lot of the big boys haven't been getting over the line, and they're pretty stubborn. Some of the big props. So I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about the Jesse Bromwich and Jordan McLean, these big hooers. So as soon as one of them stands strong and says, "No, I'm not budging," it's pretty hard to get the rest of them to do it. So I've done a few over the years, but I've been pretty lucky the last couple of years to jag the one try a year that gets you off it.
That's perfect.
And you were born in Sydney, I believe, and moved to Townsville at a young age, and then Gladstone after that. And so, when did you end up moving down to Brisbane to get into footy?
Yeah, I moved down to Brisbane to start grade 9 at Villanova there. So they're actually a rugby union school, so I kind of played all sports: cricket, rugby union, basketball, athletics, basically everything except for league. And I played rugby league. I think my first game was probably under 13s in Gladstone, so I actually played a lot of hockey leading into that. I just loved all sports, and rugby union was the only, I suppose, rugby on offer at Villanova, and that's what I played throughout all high school.
Yeah, right. I was going to actually ask about your hockey career, mate. What happened there? Apparently, you played a lot growing up.
Yeah, I jagged the under-12 Queensland team.
Right,
I
perfect.
love hockey. Mate, hockey is an outstanding game. I just think, at a young age, you develop so much hand-eye coordination and a lot of those other skills. So, it's a really great game that I couldn't recommend more for anyone looking to find something a bit different.
Because it's quite an unusual transition, really, like to go from being an outstanding junior hockey player to then being a rugby league player. Like, I wouldn't imagine that that is a pathway that a lot of people take.
Yeah, I think they're different beasts. You look at the elite hockey players, the Kookaburras and Hockey Roos. They're just like running machines. They run like 18, 19s on the beep test, and obviously rugby league front rowers aren't really renowned for their endurance. They're quite different athletes, I guess.
Yeah, right.
And you mentioned when you moved down to Brisbane, I think I did some research and found that you played a little bit of rugby league, maybe for East Carina when you came down. And I was actually probably not too far off playing with you there, because I actually played at East Carina when I was younger, and I played under 14s in about 2009. I played before that too, but I think you were probably a year or two above me at East Carina there.
Yeah. I had a year under 14s at East Carina, and that was awesome. So it's tough though when you're playing in that division. You're playing kind of the Roachdales, the Logan Brothers, Deception Bay. So there was some real tough outfits with a lot of Polynesian boys who used to just eat up us predominantly white East Carina side. So it was a good tough year, that one.
Yeah, well, I had a lot of trouble at fullback there when our front line of defence didn't get the big hooers. I had a lot of the players from Logan and Redcliffe and that running through the line and giving me a hard time. But good memories.
Yeah. We've heard all these rumours, Christian, about Sam being real good at footy. But then he sent through his highlights package, and it was from under 6s, where he just ran around everyone that was in a package, like just in a massive pack. And we've never actually seen any evidence of him being good since then.
No, I love that. Well, I think about my highlights package, it'd be putting kick pressure on and tackling halfbacks. It's certainly not too flash. So,
that's right.
I'm not a flash player either. So I'm with you, Sammy.
Thank you.
Christian, I guess it's a slightly serious question because I'm always quite intrigued to know, like, your pathway, obviously, from there, like, if we'll go through quickly, but your pathway from sort of playing for East Carina to how do you then get to obviously be playing in the NRL for the Melbourne Storm? What is the pathway that sort of happened, well, for your case in particular?
Yeah, so I was playing inside centre for Villanova in rugby union, and just really wanted to try and make it in union. That was my, I suppose, maiden love. And I used to play against a friend of the show, the great Brad Wilkin, and he actually charged one of my kicks down in one of the local derbies and scored a try, and they beat us by a point. So
it's almost like you've read this interview before, because I think Sam had that exact question
against that big ranger.
Yeah. He did tell me that. He wanted me to bring it up, but you brought it up. So
yeah, I know. I thought I'd get in front of it. But yeah, and then I tried to get picked up in Union. Didn't really get too far. Made the ARC 2 side, and I was down at Ballymore, and we were, in the ARC 2, you don't get too much attention. And then a Broncos scout approached Dad and I as we were walking to the car after one of the games, and said, we think you could offer something in league, and we'd like to meet up and bring you into a squad. And that was Paul Bunn, and he was kind of been in the Broncos for many years, and then he eventually switched to the Storm, and so I went and played at East Tigers there and in the centres in the under-18s, and then Paul had a kind of revolutionary idea of kind of changing me into a front rower. So because I had a bit of a taller frame and some good leg speed, he thought, let's try and fill him out and put him in the middle and see how he goes. So finished the year in under-20s there in the front row, and then moved down to the Holden Cup to the Storm in the under-20s at the end of that year, 1 year out of school.
Did you like that idea of moving to the front row, or were you a bit worried at first? You there, mate?
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I just missed all that.
No, all good. I just
a bit like a Sam Heazlett tackle, you might say.
I just said, did you like that idea when he first came to you and said, let's move you into the front row, or were you a bit worried at first?
That's a big change.
Yeah, look, I think most centres would not be interested in that transition to the front row. It's not really a glamorous position, but I was just excited that potentially I had an opportunity to become a professional footy player. So I was jumping at the bit to do anything. So that was just I was just so excited about the opportunity and set my work to it all.
That's Christian, just like, I don't even expect that you necessarily know this answer, but what would it have been about you that made that selector or that scout walk up and go, hey mate, like, you're not a bad centre, but you know where you actually would be really good in the front row? Like, what the heck would you have seen to go, this is going to be the greatest change ever?
Yeah, look, I'm not sure. I think I was pretty tall. I was about 6'4", and had some good leg speed, I suppose, but was pretty thin. So physically, I think he thought it was a good opportunity that if brought him down for 2 years of Holden Cup, let's see what he turns into. And then, I don't know, hopefully he would have found out about my work ethic and how hard I've worked to put myself in there and how coachable I suppose I am. I'd like to think that's something that might have attracted him. But yeah, I'm not too sure, to be honest.
Yeah, that's fair. I'll try and track him down and ask him, I guess.
Yeah.
Just obviously at the moment, Christian, it's a weird time for probably all athletes out there, but certainly as a footballer, you need to stay as fit and strong as humanly possible, I would presume. But obviously at the moment, that's restricted a little bit due to COVID-19, and all sort of gyms being closed, and I assume the club's probably closed as well, isn't it? So how are you sort of managing to get through with sort of those difficulties that are associated with this pandemic at the moment, pandemic even?
Yeah, so I'm back home in Brisbane with Mum and Dad, so I thought I'd come up here while we shut down. So and because the Queensland Cup competition's been cancelled for the year, they were lucky that their gym's not open, but the CEO basically said you can come in and take some gym equipment and set up a little gym at home. So that's been really good having that, and then having a few boys from Brisbane, from the Storm, and obviously my housemate Brad. At the Rebels, and he's back in Brisbane as well. So it's been good having some training partners to get down and have a run and kind of keep it ticking over, because we're just in a bit of a holding pattern at the moment, just waiting to hear when potentially we might be back up and running.
Yeah, and what do you think the best way forward is for the NRL at the moment? You're actually on the Rugby League Players Association advisory board, I believe. So, like, what are you somewhat in the loop to making that decision?
Yeah, I think our first kind of big action thing was the pay cuts, and I think all the players kind of had a really good understanding of the need to take some big pay cuts and how the revenue sharing model works basically. And so that was our first big thing, and we got through all that, and there was some big Zoom meetings with about 40 of the player reps from all 16 NRL clubs, and really stuck together well and worked out a good result. And I suppose now we're just waiting basically for the NRL. They've, I suppose, publicly announced all these return dates, but they're obviously working through how it's all going to work. And I think the biggest ones are the little mini pre-seasons that each club needs to be given, and the different states and obviously New Zealand, the different conditions. So, like say New South Wales, the Roosters and those clubs would be able to train next week as a team, whereas in Victoria, Queensland and New Zealand, they're all on lockdown. So it's all about having a fair, little mini pre-season. So all that needs to get sorted, and then obviously it's about relocation for those interstate and the New Zealand Warriors and how that looks. What happens with their families? Do they come with them? How long are they going to be away? So there's so many things that need to get sorted. So it's pretty interesting, and hopefully we can get working towards coming back soon when it's safe. But at the same time, I think everyone understands it's a pretty unique, pretty scary health issue. So if we need to put it on ice for a while, we surely will.
Yeah, it's extremely tough. I mean, probably never going to be completely fair to every team, but do you reckon that May 28 target return date they've sort of talked about is ambitious? Or
from an outsider's perspective, it certainly seems ambitious, doesn't it?
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, and I don't have an issue with the NRL targeting a date and saying, look, if everything goes well for us, this is when we're hoping to get back up and running. And I think we'll probably struggle to get to that date, but they're working hard towards sorting all those issues out for clubs, players, broadcasters, and hopefully they'll have some concrete stuff pretty soon, I think.
Mm. Yeah, right. And mate, you're widely regarded as one of the good blokes of rugby league, doing a lot of charity work and things like that. I was wondering if you could tell us a bit more about that, sort of what work you do on that front and where your motivation for that comes from.
Yeah, it's I suppose when I did my ACL the first time in 2017, I was down the dumps a bit, and I just finished my university degree, so I had a fair bit of spare time. So an ACL, 6 to 9 months recovery. The early days they're pretty long, where you can't really train too much. So and really just final where we lost, and then it was about round 10, and we're on top of the ladder and looking really good to kind of make amends. So that was really tough. But then I was going into the hospital in Richmond there to kind of see my surgeon and get an update on when I'd go under the knife and look at the scans. And I was seeing, all these people in, wheelchairs and, cancer patients and people with permanent disabilities, and kind of just gave me a really good perspective on my issues and how much they pale in significance compared to, what a lot of other people in the general population are going through. So I had a fair bit more time on my hands, so I reached out to a few charities and said, I'd love to help, and I suppose use the profile, use Melbourne Storm to put some smiles on some good faces, and Camp Quality, a charity that helps young kids and families, with cancer diagnosis. It helps them kind of give them a childhood and bring a bit of joy into their lives. So they reached out, and I've been working with them for about 3 or 4 years now, and it's been great. It's it's just been so good for myself, and I suppose, and then we've also done some great things, raising some money for the charity, and also giving kids some great opportunities to come and meet the players and come along to games and do special things like that.
Yeah, that's elite. No, they're definitely moments that people would treasure a huge amount in that position. And then your niceties they don't stop there. Actually, I was reading just before when we were sort of doing our pre-interview stalk, Christian, of your social media footprint, that you sort of recently also have had, been in contact with elderly fans. I think I'm correct in saying. I've probably realised that there's a bit of a gap there in terms of their ability to access technology and things like that, and actually been taking it upon yourself to connect with fans in that older age bracket as well.
Yeah. So obviously we're not playing at the moment. We've got heaps of spare time, and I was kind of just thinking went to visit my grandparents and they're in a retirement home. They're in their 80s and they were just really struggling with the Foxtel and the technology and how to record shows, how to set stuff up, and it just kind of made me think that these senior citizens rely so much on physical kind of social interactions. They're old schoolers and they don't have access to Skype, FaceTime, house party, and Twitter and all this stuff that keeps everyone connected. Making some calls and having some chats to some Storm fans and some just rugby league fans in general, and it was great. I got a lot out of it as well.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I actually had a similar experience the other day with my grandparents too. Christian Webb, I went up and like my pop is obviously that bored that he'd heard sort of rumours about Netflix and asked me how hard it was to get on. Which it obviously for us, it's for us it probably shouldn't. It doesn't seem very difficult, but obviously trying to socially distance myself whilst coaching him how to get Netflix from a distance was one of the tougher experiences, and really probably let me know that my communication skills are not great in terms of teaching new skills.
You were up there for
hours. For me. Tough slog, that one.
It was a genuine 6-hour job. Yeah. How did that Zoom meeting go with 16 people involved? Surely that's tough to get a word in.
As in for the RLPA.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like we had like around 40 people on there at times, and they work it really well. In Clint Newton, our president, he kind of everyone goes on mute, and then he kind of says his spiel, and then he'll go around the clubs and he'll go, all right, Cowboys, Bulldogs, Storm, and each player will take himself off mute and go, oh, this is what I was thinking. I agree with that comment, or maybe I think we need to focus on this. So it's worked really well, mate. To be honest, we've been having those Zoom meetings when the pay deal was coming through. They were daily and really insightful, and then we had, the NRL were really great in Todd Greenberg and Peter Vlandis jumped in on a Zoom call. We had Paul White and Blake Solly, the CEOs of the Broncos and South. So there's a lot of transparency and a lot of working together, and I think that's been really good and really positive, I think. And I think it's all been, everyone's handling it as best as we can.
Absolutely. And you've never had the experience of just having a complete random just jump in the Zoom call? There's been a few stories of that going on as well.
No, it's we haven't seen yet.
It's a shame. We'll get Haz in there next week.
I'll find out the code somehow. Apparently, there were doubts early on in your career that you might be a bit too nice for rugby league, and I know my dad, whenever I played, was telling me you got to get more mongrel into you. You got to have some mongrel on the field.
That was the only thing you were lacking. From
So, how'd you manage to shake those doubts?
I don't know. I think I'm just it's the front row. I think people think it's quite a simple, and it is a simple position, but it's such a competitive position where it's kind of your pack against their pack, and who's gonna get on top of each other. And I think you can be a nice guy and do the nice stuff through the week, but as soon as you play that game, you just want to compete and win and be aggressive. And I guess that's. I think you just look at your senior players, and I think you look at the like Jesse Bromwich is our forward leader, and the way he trains, he's an absolute bull, and he'll let you know. He'll just run straight over you at training. It doesn't matter if you're a rep player or a young player. He trains the way he plays, and he learnt that from the veteran older players that when he came through. So I think playing the way you train is a big thing at the Storm, and I think. There's a lot of guys that go really hard, and I think for our ruck forwards probably don't get enough, I suppose, respect. The guys who week in week out perform and win games, and Jesse Bromwich and Dale Finucane and Big Nelson, and how much impact they actually have.
Does that lead to sort of like more injuries at training than we probably hear about? Like, as in guys carrying niggles and stuff all the time. Like, I'm just thinking if you're training with the same intensity that people are playing games with, surely there's blokes pulling out of training sessions pretty sore.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the philosophy of like Craig Bellamy. He's all about your preseason will be harder than anything you'll ever face in a game, and I think I truly believe that. And I speak to our head physio quite regularly with. And our head of performance, and it's all about building physical resilience. It's because it's such a long season in the NRL, you have 26 rounds and finals and trials and that. It's having the ability to perform even if you are carrying niggles. So I think they make a big effort in pre-season, the physios, to try and keep guys in sessions as long as they can, and even if they are carrying knocks and bruises, they try and make players get through sessions and don't pull them out, because it's such an important time to build that physical resilience, he likes to call it, where you're not always going to be fresh and full of energy and feeling 100%. You might be coming off a 5-day game in Auckland, or you might have just got flogged the week before in the physicality. And I think that gives you a good chance of success every week.
Yeah, absolutely. That's pretty cool to hear, because it always sort of is like that thought. I guess anytime like an older rugby league player, like a retired veteran, comes out and says like, oh, the game's gone soft, and like you always hear sort of people speaking like that. Like back in my day, we used to play with broken legs and broken jaws and stuff like that. So it's actually quite cool to hear from someone that's genuinely knows that it's not sort of like people wrapped in cotton wool. Quite the opposite, really.
Yeah, and I think there's a thing there with the older players, and I think the biggest difference is like concussion and how we treat that now, and I think that's awesome. I think I was talking about physical resilience with like bruises and maybe tight hammies or sore shoulders, but
not head knocks.
Basically, as soon as you get a head knock or something, mate, you just don't muck around with it, because we're seeing more and more evidence of how much damage these things can do. And to be honest, rugby's just not worth it, particularly in pre-season where it doesn't really mean anything. So I think that's probably the biggest change, where I think maybe some older players don't understand it and maybe question the toughness. But I think we've done a good job in getting rid of that stigma.
Yeah, absolutely. You've actually referenced your first sort of ACL injury already, Christian, but I'd say that probably most NRL players would say that their biggest goal in their career is to win a grand final. And obviously you unfortunately missed out on playing in Melbourne's win in 2017 due to that injury that you spoke about. That obviously, I don't like to harp on negative things, but that must have been fairly heartbreaking for you.
Yeah, I mean, that was pretty tough. I played 2016 grand final, lost that.
Yeah.
Pretty shattered to lose that, and then 17 missed out on it, and I was sitting in the grandstand as the boys won it, and on the sideline of the field, and then in 18 we lost the other grand final against the Roosters, and a pretty famous one there, and then 19 won the minor premiership and all that, and we were on top of the ladder, and then I did it again. So but I think it's given me a lot of perspective doing all the charity and community work, and what I'm grateful is, I suppose it's the relationships and the memories. You still have so many amazing times, games, travelling, hotels with the guys, and growing up with with some guys who come through the system. So that's what I look fondly upon, and I'd certainly love to have a premiership ring, but it just hasn't worked out at the moment, but hopefully we can jag one sooner or later.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm sure you get another opportunity. You got a great team there at Melbourne, and always seem to be
pretty strong for the last 20 years.
Yeah. And, it's I mean, another thing, as a rugby league player, there's lots of rugby league players who come off contract and are subject to rumours about which clubs they're talking to and how much money they're going to go for in those clubs. Have you experienced that where you've been under the pressure with media about rumours, contracts, and that sort of thing?
Yeah, and I think some journos just get pretty lazy, mate. They don't even bother calling or working out with clubs what actual figures are, and they just throw shit out there, and it really frames players poorly, I think, a lot of the time. And it's happened a bit. I was kind of weighing up the decision last year, and then I did my ACL and kind of had a few options pull out, and that's just footy and that's just life. But I was lucky to have an option to stay at the Storm, and it's such an amazing club, and so I was really excited about this season, and hopefully we can get it going again. But I am off contract, so I'm really hoping that we do have some form of season so I can come back and show that I'm back healthy and recovered and back to performing well. But I think that's just what you deal with. That just comes with being a professional athlete. There's so many positives and lifestyle, and obviously your salary is great, and the conditions, and you're with your mates working out most days, but there are some other bad things. Like you just don't really have that much stability. A lot of the players are kind of waiting to see and just kind of plotting the next move. There's not as much stability and I suppose duration at clubs. I've been lucky to be at Storm for this will be my 8th season, and I've been there a fair while compared to a lot of the other guys who sadly dance around a little bit.
Yeah, well, I'd have you in my Maroons team this year if we'd been playing so far this year. So I don't think you've got too much to worry about, in my opinion, anyway. So,
I mean, your opinion counts quite highly.
No, definitely not. But
yeah, I'll get you on the selectors, eh?
We got a couple of letters drafted up, surely.
And Matt, you touched on earlier that you've done a little bit of study, which I suppose would be a handy backup plan if anything did happen with the NRL career. So you've got a bachelor's degree in commerce, and I understand you're currently doing work in a master's. I just wanted to ask sort of how you find the time to juggle all that and sort of stay at the top of your game as well.
Mm.
Yeah, I think finishing high school and not having like a professional deal or having any form of kind of contract in high school or scholarship or anything like that. I haven't ever taken anything for granted or assumed that I'd be a professional footy player. So I think that's given me a really good grounding to study and do all that. And I think it generally makes you a better player when you have interests outside of your sport. It's such a intense environment down at the Storm with Craig and how analytical it is. Reviewing games. I struggle to watch a Friday night footy, even if two other teams, because it actually gets me a bit frustrated because I'm sitting there, my brain's kind of analysing the plays and most of the time disagreeing with what the commentators are saying. So I really struggle. I prefer to watch AFL and that. But right. I think on that point, like having something where you can switch off and not think about footy. And it doesn't have to be a master's or a uni degree, but I think something that you're interested in and that's what I'm interested in. But we've got a lot of guys at Storm. We've got about 10 doing carpentry. Not that I'd ever bring around to my place to do any work, but there's a bunch of boys on that. Like Chandler Royal owns the F45. There's a couple of business owners, and there's a couple of guys who are doing a great job at kind of building that safety net, I reckon, outside of footy. Because I think if you invest 100% in your just purely football, when something goes wrong, you don't have anything else really holding you up. And I think it's a big thing for your mental well-being as well as an athlete.
Yeah, that's unreal. Actually, that's all. Actually, you do a similar amount of study. Really, you don't invest all your time in cricket either. You're quite an intelligent specimen.
Yeah,
you managed to work it out all right. Same as Christian.
Yeah. Well, I've got some tips for you guys if you want. I mean, I'm
actually not that busy, but no.
I do save a lot of time in the morning at breakfast, and instead of preparing a big meal, I've been filling up on smoothies using Alchemy Cordials range of smoothie bases. Three flavors: banana, mixed berry, mango. You can mix it with whatever.
Is that
you
a
want.
plug? Am I hearing a plug?
Christian, you will find that there is one thing that is elite at, and it is just slipping in a sponsor, like just in random segments. He's so good at it. He's been doing it since day dot.
For the good of the show, because it's not
obviously,
a personal
one.
It's
not a personal one. He also does have 19
Yeah,
personal ones, but yeah, no, that's very good. Sam.
Yeah, give it
That's
a go, Christian, if you want the Alchemy Cordials.
What is your breakfast?
On board.
What's your breakfast of choice there, Christian? Do you have a routine, or are you just happy to mix it up, keep yourself guessing?
Oh, we're pretty lucky down at Storm. Like in pre-season, we pay a little bit of money in, and we get kind of breakfast in at the club and lunch and meals and that. So I try and cook some eggs when I'm not lazy. But yeah, sometimes I'll just have a bit of coconut yogurt and some muesli and that, and that'll get me through unless Brad wants to knock me up something. It's my good little apprentice who's living under my wing there in Melbourne.
And an Alchemy smoothie from now on as well, courtesy of Sam Heazlett's plug.
And an Alchemy smoothie. What a brand. They're fantastic. Shout out to Alchemy. All the best.
Now, thanks for that. Totally unrelated topic. Your Instagram bio says 1/4 porterhouse, and I've done some digging, and my investigative skills suggest that your teammate Cam Munster and now Bulldogs players Dean Britton and Joe Stimson are maybe the other 3/4 of the porterhouse. So
I was very intrigued by this.
So what is the porterhouse? Can you tell us?
Yeah, the porterhouse. So we, Joe Stimson, Dean Britton, and myself were living together, and Munster was living elsewhere, and we kind of said, we kind of become good mates and said, he kind of wanted to move in. We said, what are you actually going to bring to the table, mate, like for us to consider this? And he goes, mate, I'm going to bring some larrikin, baby. I'm just going to bring larrikin all the time. And I was like, that'll be pretty good. So, we rented a big 4-bed house in Port Melbourne and come up with the porterhouse name, little nickname, and it was great fun. Two of the boys actually got the porterhouse tattoo, and we lived there 12 months. We didn't live there any longer. And Munster, the little nuppy, the nuppy that he is, he thought he'd be pretty funny and go get the tattoo before anyone else, and be the hero. And we're talking about porterhouse steaks here, and obviously there's no bone in the porterhouse steak, and so he's come back and got the porterhouse letters, and then the steak has a big white strip through there, it's a big fat T-bone that he's got on his hip.
Oh, no.
On his hip?
We had some great memories, some real good times, when you're young, and, we're all not from Melbourne, so that was our kind of social circle, and we did everything together, and, it was pretty funny seeing Munster kind of develop some life skills over the years. I lived with him for 3 years, and it took a while, but he's starting to get there, the little spud.
so he was, if you're comparing sort of Munster to Wilkin, who's coming out on top in terms of the housemate battle there, do you think?
Oh, mate, Wilkin's a lot more advanced in, I suppose, life skills, and I suppose, just cooking, cleaning, running a tight ship. He's, bit of a stiff, the bloke, loves his rugby union, and he loves his golf. He sits there and just putts at night, like YouTube highlights of Tiger at the Masters, and I don't think he really goes out too much and goes on dates with girls, or has many beers with the boys. He's a bit of a.
It actually sounds like the direct opposite of Cam Munster.
Whereas Munster's plenty of larrikin, not a lot of life skills. Doesn't know how to cook. He didn't know how to make a cup of tea. He thought the currency of Japan was the euro. This is what I'm dealing with, boys, all right? This is rugby league, and we love it.
So you're a genuine educator in that house.
It was a bit of a contrast, but, mate, we got along well. And it frustrates me they'll lose golf to both of these blokes now. So it's the biggest punish, because we play a fair bit, and I get off more when one of those boys has a bad shot than when I have a good shot. So the fact that I'm having more bad shots than both of them now is it really hurt.
You're not happy. Because Brad doesn't Brad have a brother that's a gun golfer?
Yeah.
Do you play with him ever?
No, I need to get some lessons off Aaron Wilkin. So he's had his Australian card and played over in China a fair bit. So he's a bit of a talented player as well. So there's plenty of golf in that family.
Yeah, absolutely. And not as much in yours by the sound, Christian, judging on how you went today. I posted I didn't think my swing looked that bad. I was driving off the tee. One of my mates put a Insta story up, and then I went and had a sleep and woke up, had 15 Insta messages going, that is gross. Like, delete that shit. Like, you're not even halfway swinging back, and I had to agree with them, and I deleted it and just crawled back into the fetal position. And this is actually the type of cyberbullying that can lead to people deleting their social media accounts. I think your golf swing bullying.
Yeah, I mean, have a go at anything, but golf, like that's a little personal.
It's just a line. There is a line that you can't cross, and it's someone's golf swing, surely.
100%.
Yeah. Well, Brad, we were speaking to Brad, and he did give you a bit of praise. He said that you were a good cook, which you've suggested the opposite. You said that he's a better cook, but I was going to ask you what your go-to meal is when he gave you that high praise.
No, a bit of everything. There's a Insta page called Recipes. I'm not sure if you guys have seen it, but he's just gone on Instagram, and his wife, and they put up these recipes and how to cook them, and then do little videos. So I just kind of pick one of those out a week, and we knock them up. Brad will cook 2 nights, and I'll cook 2 nights, and we'll kind of work in between. And I like cooking. It goes back to the porterhouse. It used to be 2 blokes used to cook, 2 blokes used to clean, and I just didn't see any fun in cleaning, so I just put my hand up to cook, and it's been good ever since, I guess.
It was a bit of a backhanded compliment that he gave you, though, because he followed that by saying that you were the worst in the household at Monopoly.
Oh, gee up. And to be honest, educated rugby union boys, the rebels that I live with, mate, they're spuds. And they get tailed up by a rugby league bloke. And, they're just not that good. Poor SA, he's that big Tongan housemate of the rebels as well. He just retreats to his room because he just doesn't want to bar with me because I'm just a bit of a bull in there. And then, and Wilkin just knows his place. He's a good young kid, and I'm taking him under my wing quite well.
Do you have a particular piece of property that you're always very keen to get in your first couple of rounds around the Monopoly table there?
No, mate, just keep an eye on how much money they got down. This is Monopoly cards, though. Have you guys played that, or are you thinking normal Monopoly?
No, I'm thinking board game Monopoly. My eyes haven't been open to the wonders of the card game.
I'm telling you, Monopoly cards, Monopoly, get onto it. It's a different game, mate. That's strategic. Right. And it's better than the board game. Board game's rubbish.
Any quicker by any chance? If the game ever lasts
that board game
less
goes
than
yeah, about 20 minutes, I reckon.
Oh, you're kidding.
A bit shorter if you're playing with Wilkin.
We'll have to look that up and have a game against each
I've
other.
played a Monopoly game that's lasted less than 3 days. That's unbelievable.
It's a game.
Yeah, no, Monopoly cards, Monopoly Go. Yeah, it's a little red box. Get into it, boys.
Okay, all right.
Little shout out, not a sponsored shout out either. No disrespect to Alchemy.
Perfect. And mate, did you get the chance to have a listen to the episode we had Brad on? Have you got any feedback for us there? How did he go?
Well, feedback for him also. Obviously, we know we were good.
Mate, he talks up his cricketing endeavours, and he's always saying, I wasn't the quickest, but I always hit the top of off. And mate, I don't know, I don't believe it. He's not built for cricket. He's pale and he's a red nut who just burns too easy. It's just not his sport.
That was great.
Have you any backyard battles there? Any garage cricket or anything that you guys have participated in?
Not with Brad, but cricket's actually a big thing at the Storm. On all our away trips, we play, it's the Teds versus Yobbos, and they're distinct sides, and Craig Bellamy umpires. So it's the morning of an away game, and we'll walk down to a park, and the Teds are kind of the inner city kind of boys who look after their looks. So we had Billy Slater, Cooper Cronk, those kind of boys, and the Yobbos are, Cam Smith's the kind of Logan Bogan, and the country boys. So
harsh on Billy. Billy's from
big rivalry.
Billy's from Innisfail, isn't he?
He's a pretty good looking rooster though.
Yeah. I mean, there's probably arguments for both, but he's a passions of the field kind of guy. He wears Scotch and soda, and I think he forgot about his Yobbo roots a long time ago. Which no disrespect, because I'm a Ted myself.
You're a Ted too. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a Ted, mate. Yeah.
And you've embraced it. You don't try and argue.
No, mate, it's not a bad thing being Ted. If you're in Cooper Cronk's team, this is a good thing.
Yeah,
those Yobbos, they're just pigs, mate. The pigs are blokes. They don't look after themselves. Right. And to be honest, they're just not that good at cricket.
And they're not good at cricket either. That's
we regularly tell them up, and you get the bragging rights. So I look forward to that cricket game just as much as I do the Storm game later that day. To be honest, it's always great fun.
And that'd also be handy, like if you say you have a stinker later on, like you don't play your best game, and you can think back to, well, at least I got sort of some runs in the cricket game. Then the trip still seems quite worthwhile.
Oh, 100%. All you need is to clean bowl Cameron Smith or get one of the Bromwich boys trapped LBW, and your day's mate. But there is some dodgy umpiring, mate, I'll tell you. Craig Bellamy is one of the worst.
Does he know the rules? Is he all right with the rules?
Yeah, he knows the rules, but he's a very personal guy, and then he'll be like, well, the Teds have been batting for too long now, I don't want these boys out here, and he'll just start, firing off LBW to get them all out.
No.
I'm sure it'd fit right in with the first grade umpires up here.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. He'd better get a gig up here in Brisbane grade cricket. Perfect.
And mate, I saw you went over to LA during the off season, and were sort of training at least in the same facilities as the Lakers and stuff. Could you tell us a bit about that? Was that sort of strictly rehab related, or are you considering moving over to basketball, or what's going on?
No, white man can't jump, and I'm terribly athletic. So no.
Okay.
And it was just it's my second long injury, and I kind of conned the performance staff a little bit there to let me go right in the middle of pre-season and go off training trip. So made sure I posted plenty of videos of me working out just to keep them happy. And look, it was pretty interesting training over there. I was at the same facilities that the LA Lakers use, and and the trainer there, he was really great. It was a bit of a different style of training. They kind of blend the physio and the strength together. So whereas at the Storm, you kind of do your physio rehab sessions separate, and then you just do your lifts in the gym. So that was great, but it was also a good mental refresher just to kind of get away, because you are pretty isolated in the same gym in Melbourne for a long time. So to change it up and go over there, and got to a LA Rams game and a Clippers game. So that was really cool.
Yeah, right. Okay. I was going to say, it sort of looked like you were approaching rehab a bit differently, and you've posted videos of you like at Bounce and stuff doing training there. Is that sort of? I was going to ask if that was sort of driven by you, or where you've got sort of those ideas from.
Yeah, like who makes that? Who organises that stuff for you? Just goes, hey mate, I think you need to go to Bounce. You're going on a trampoline.
Yeah, Bounce was good. That was good stuff. So the physios the physios, they're kind of aware that you need to change it up and change the environment, because you just if you're in the same gym doing the same shit all day, it just really grinds you down. So they'll do little things like take you to Bounce, and the tramp work's actually really good for that kind of stuff. And then they might take you to a beach session just to mix the surface up, running on sand. It challenges the knee a bit differently. And then they might, because we train at Amy Park with the Melbourne Demons and the Victory boys, and obviously there's no public in the gym there, so it's just all kind of the boys. So it's nice. Sometimes they take us out to a fitness first, and that's always a welcome change for the injured crew to kind of get out and have a look at some other people than Storm players.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you reckon you've got the bounce, the bug for bounces now, Christian? Like, we're going to see more videos of sort of double backflips and stuff now that you're back from injury?
No, I'd injure myself, so I've ruled off a lot of exercises, like skiing and all that stuff. There's been knocked on the head, mate. These knees that's my future at the moment, so I can't risk it.
Yeah, fair.
No, look after him. Look after him. I don't have much of a link to this next question, but I have to ask it. There's a rumour going around that you pose for photos with your cousin's baby daughter just to get likes from girls on social media. Is that true?
Oh, who's this from? Wilkin, hey? I'm proud to be a godparent of a beautiful young girl. But yeah, look, if it happens to get a few more likes, and maybe on the Bumble profile, so be it. I'm not against using some very cute children, but obviously it's worked great for me because I'm still single to this day. So maybe we could update the strategy.
And you have to use that Bumble profile now, apparently, because you're banned from using Hinge. Is that right?
Is that right?
Oh, Jesus.
It's a proper grilling when you come here, isn't it? Harris does some homework.
I don't know how I got banned. I honestly don't know. I'm actually a genuine nice guy on there. Don't know what happened. I don't even know how to get unbanned. So
should we get Wilkin on get Wilkin on the phone? We got another phone line. Get him on the phone and he can explain.
Yeah.
It.
Sounds like you're an expert on all those dating apps. So you could rate it for us in preference of which one's the best and the worst, I guess.
I've got no idea, mate. I'm just a simple little front rower who just loves putting a bit of kick pressure and arms, boys. I don't know too much about all this dating world, and down in Melbourne in the big smoke, a bit out of my depth.
I'm afraid that probably our listening demographic is not really going to help you with your dating life either, unfortunately, unless you're after sort of a 20 to 40-year-old man, which I get the feeling you're probably not.
Yeah, not what I'm looking for, but g'day if you're listening.
Oh, perfect. Christian, we like to throw out this question. I don't know if you've ever had the pleasure of I would definitely come and listen to you at a sportsman's luncheon or something, a speaking engagement of that kind. Have you ever got to do something like that?
I've come back to my old school. I've gone over a few times and did a little sportsman awards in Brisbane, but no, not really, to be honest. Especially being down in Melbourne, rugby league's not a big thing, so the big thing's AFL, which is great, and I love it. But there's not a huge, I suppose, demand for the boys there, and then you have limited time back up in Queensland throughout the year. So no, I haven't really done too much of that stuff, to be honest.
Well, this put you on the spot massively. Then say that we're hiring you to do that sportsman luncheon. What are the go-to stories? What's a story that you're going to? Do you reckon that everyone just needs to hear?
Oh, I was only telling Brad today about and every sports team's got the bloke. It's the tightest bloke you've ever met in your life.
Oh,
and
Sam
I reckon
Heazlett.
we've got one of the. Well, boys, Heazlett might give him a rivalry, yeah, because it's a Great Dane Western. He's retired now, but he's come through in the early grades, and he was a bit of a mentor to me. But and it was a badge of honour for Dane. Like he's not embarrassed about this stuff. And like I'll run you through some of the things I saw him. So I made my debut in 2015 against Parramatta. We went out the night before for dinner at an Italian restaurant, and I saw him with a hoodie on, but it had the tag on. I said, "Oh, Westo, mate, you got your tag on, like, like rip it off. You must have forgot about it." He goes, "Oh no, mate, hey, don't touch me, mate. Like, this is going back Monday. This is going back Monday."
Oh wow!
But mate, and there's more. Like,
You can't do that.
we go for breakfast in Richmond, and he brought his own avocado because he didn't want to. He thought 450, which he actually is stealing these days from Cafe for half an avo.
Yeah.
He bought his own, sliced it up, chucked it on his eggs and toast. He's been caught stamping his own, loyalty coffee cards.
Wow!
And another one, we were out having beers in Richmond at a pub there, and I knew he was tight, so I went and shouted him a drink because I wanted to put it on him after. And he only drinks bourbon and that. And I said, "Oh, Westo, mate, like, come on, mate, you're up. I just got you one." He goes, "Oh, okay, yeah, mate, yeah, sweet." And he walked away from the main bar, but there's another bar. This is the Richmond Club Hotel. Great establishment. Not a sponsored post. Just a good one to any Melbourne listeners. And then he starts walking to the toilet. So, what's this guy doing? And so he said, "Oh, yeah, come in here. And so we walk into a toilet, and he rolls up his jeans, and he's got the calf skins on, and he's got this little plastic flask. And he goes, "There you go, mate, have a swig of this." And it's just vodka. And that's his shout to me. So,
These are all good ideas for me.
How's he taking notes?
And then even we got knocked out for a prelim against the Cowboys when they won it in 15, and we were at the drinks, and Sam, like when they put a tab on, generally it's just beer and wine, and he didn't drink any of that. He drinks like dark bourbon and rum and that. And so he went and negotiated with our football manager and said, "Look, I will pay the difference between, a spirit and a bourbon." So he was handing over like $1.80 every time he got a drink because he grinded them down on it. So he's the best I've seen. He's one of the greats, but he's got about 3 properties now, so I suppose it's worked for him.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's what we sort of always take the mickey out of Haz for the same thing, and then we sort of he's just like, "Yeah, sorry boys, I'm just checking out one of my 9 houses." So
it's tough, isn't it? Eh?
He's sort of like, we should not be the ones laughing. They are quality stories. I would absolutely get around there. Haz, you don't even drink vodka, but I reckon you'd just take a flask in and just start selling it off to people.
Well, often when I go and there's a bar tab and I only drink soft drink, they don't even have soft drink on the bar tab, and I'm like, geez, you can afford beer on the bar tab but not even soft drink for me. Jeez.
Yeah. So
there you go.
You should be they should be giving you $1.80 every time you get a drink.
Yeah. That's a good idea.
Oh, outstanding. And Christian, just to wind up, real chance for you to just give a critique here, and obviously, nothing's off limits. You can just go as hard as you like, because you have recently. I was just sort of again going through your Twitter profile, and you've been on some serious podcasts recently. Obviously, your teammate Sandor Earl, he runs one as well. So you were on that the other day.
Yeah.
You did another one recently with a guy from the Grade Cricketer as well. So there's some serious podcast royalty that you're sort of getting amongst there. How the We Got the Chocolates boys stack up, do you think?
Mate, loving it. It's been fantastic, and I just want to give a quick shout out to Alchemy, the shake. Fantastic product. It's a great podcast you're supporting. Good bunch of fellas, and it's been great.
We're genuinely going to have to double.
Sandor Earl, mate. Sandor Earl's a muppet.
We're going to have to double our price for Alchemy because they've been shouted out 15 times. Oh, outstanding. Anything to add there, boys? Or are we letting Christian go? That's fantastic.
That's good.
That's good.
It. A lot of fun.
Oh, outstanding, mate. Well, hopefully, obviously, when all this drama sort of with the coronavirus is over, we very much look forward to following your career and seeing you back on the field, and obviously at Bounce as well. We look forward to seeing some videos there.
Yeah, let's get excited. I'll have to post some more videos. Love it. Get some more young children. Get them up there.
Oh, that's steady, mate. Thank
Very
you.
easy.
Thanks, mate.
See you, mate.
All right. Thanks, boys. See ya.
Oh, yeah, everyone. Welcome back. And what better way to come back than with the DeLong incident? It is the DeLong incident. And obviously, massive round of applause for Christian Welch. What an interview. I think I have an applause sound effect there. Look at that. The improvement that I've made in that 50 minutes. It's been
Practicing, haven't you?
best on ground. Oh, we forgot to vote for best on ground.
Ooh.
Christian wins it, hands down. Really,
Yeah, I
to
think
be
so.
honest.
Yeah.
He was very, very impressive.
Both of our guests have won by default so far.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you'd have to be a very ordinary guest to not win. Let's be honest.
Yeah, well, I mean, the point of having a guest is we want to hear from them and less from us. So,
That's true.
congratulations to Christian on the Best on Ground award. Well
Yeah,
done.
I'm sure that'll be one that
He'll be
puts quite
excited
high.
about that. Yeah.
Yep, that's right.
Right up there.
And I think I actually donated my shirt to him, so that should be in the mail. I can't seem to find it.
I think
You're
he's
getting
going to
worse
probably
on today.
have an interesting conversation with Brad after he hung up with us there. Brad's
Once
stitching
again,
up a bit.
has great use of the informant system. I like it a lot. Fantastic. Now, guys, that was the end of episode 40. Obviously, there's plenty more episodes that have occurred previously to this, probably around 39, give or take.
39, yeah.
So go and have a listen to those ones as well. And the places that you can do that are probably Spotify and Apple in the main. That's certainly where we'd appreciate you subscribing and rating. That helps us out a great deal, and it makes sure that you don't miss out on any episodes either. But the other places that we'd love to hear from you and love you to communicate with us is on our social media. Mitch, where is that?
Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, or you can just jump onto our website. We got thechocolates.com.au, and you'll find all of those links there, plus a nice little form, so you can send us any sort of email, any ideas you've got for us,
Or even any guests that you think that we'd match up well with. That's a matchup that we could produce our best in. Because we're always happy to take on that feedback, aren't we, Haz?
Sure are, yeah. I'm going to run out of contacts soon, so
I don't think so.
One day.
They just keep building. They keep building, especially since the new haircut too. Haz, you're a new guy.
now we just need Mitch to cut his hair as well. Yeah,
skin on.
Two of us.
honestly.
Yeah, I
The
know,
little
I started
caricature.
the trend, and now I'm off it.
Yeah, but the caricature has you with a skinhead as well,
Yeah, I
so
need
you're
to
going to need
get
to
back
bring
to
that
it.
back,
Yeah.
otherwise people get confused.
Don't I need a beard as well? Isn't that in the caricature?
Yeah,
I'm
well, you shaved
currently-
fresh today, so you're
Yeah.
obviously not too concerned.
Yeah, true. I'm currently rocking a mustache, and I'll work on it.
Excellent. Guys, as we said, please do continue to liaise around our socials. We love speaking about you. We love speaking to you. I apologise for whoever's phone that was. But we will most certainly be back with you for episode 41 this time next week. Correct?
See you later, guys. Yeah,
Correct.
have a
See you
good one.
later.
Get your last words in, guys.
Yep.
Thank you very much. Good luck in the future.
Goodbye.
Stomps.